I spent months building a quiz. It had 4 personality types and 4 separate email sequences, even a private podcast for each one. Because apparently I have zero chill when I'm excited about something. And then I put it on my website, added a banner at the top, sent one email to my list, and called it a launch. And that quiz sat there quietly for a very long time. And I wondered why it wasn't doing what I hoped it would do. Well, now I know. I built the oven, but I forgot to open the bakery. You're listening to the Podcasting Problem Solver, and I'm your host, Leah Bryant. And today we're finishing our conversation with quiz strategist Maiko Sakai. If you missed part 1, go back and listen to episode 72. It will change the way you think about your lead gen. Today, we're getting into the mistakes, the marketing, and the tech. Last week, Maiko broke down why diagnostic quizzes convert at 40% compared to about 3% for a standard lead magnet, and why that gap exists. She walked us through cold but ready-to-buy leads, the psychology of self-discovery, and how the email sequence that follows a quiz is where the real conversion work happens. And today, we're picking right up where we left off. The quiz is the entry point.
It is.
And then the email sequence is where the conversion can happen.
Yep.
Which means that someone could build a beautiful quiz, but they could totally miss the mark if the follow-up isn't segmented.
Correct.
And intentional, because been there, done that.
Yeah, and each archetype probably behave differently as well. Let's just say
So
it's
true.
it's a wellness quiz, right?
Yeah.
Some people might be very active, or some people just getting started, or they have certain issues with some of the exercises that they cannot do. All of those things. You want your email sequence specifically designed for each and every one of them, so that you can serve them in a customized manner. That's really important, because if you skimp on that part, all your hard work of creating a quiz, setting it up as a funnel, all those things will be, out the window. And you don't want to do that.
That's so true. So thinking about that, because I'm being semi-selfish here, because I did have a quiz once upon a time. What are the most common mistakes that you see people make when they're building quizzes that kill the conversion potential before they even start?
Yep. There are many different variables.
I bet.
By just taking a step back, I do want to address one thing. I do use AI tools excessively in my business to help my clients, because I know what to put in and what I'm expecting from it. So that's actually mistake number 1. Thinking that Claude or GPT can give you the whole thing by just dropping an idea.
Yeah.
I would say that's a start, but most of my clients show up with that. They show up and share them with me. And after I reviewed so many of them, I can tell you that that's just the beginning. It's great that there's a direction, but the quiz title, the description of your quiz, the way you ask questions, and the way you make those answers available, how those questions are sequenced, what the results page look like. It's a ton of copywriting. So the mistake number 2 would be that you don't have that insight. You're not prepared to do that much of a conversion copywriting inside of your quiz, so they don't convert. Every aspect of your quiz throughout the quiz funnel that you have is all about conversion copywriting. So you need to nail that. And so that's mistake number 2. And mistake number 3 is that once you craft your quiz and set it all up, I know it's a lot of work. It's almost like starting a new podcast show, right? Almost,
Yeah.
So you are completely out of steam to promote and market it.
Yep.
And if people don't know about your quiz, they don't know to take it.
So true.
But the good news is there's so many different ways to promote it, market it without you killing yourself. Because what happened with my quizzes, people promoted both of them for me.
Oh, I love that.
Without me asking, because they liked it, right?
Yeah.
So it's not that you have to tend to at 24/7 to promote and market your quiz. You don't need to do that, but you still need to reserve some of your energy to be able to get the word out.
I think that too, like when I had my quiz, that's something that I completely failed at was the marketing piece. I had a little thing on my website, a banner at the top, and I maybe talked about it in my email list, but that was legit all I did.
Right.
And you're right. I put all that energy in. I literally worked on it for months, 3 or 4 months, 5 months. I don't know. It was.
Yep. That's what I did with mine too. Yeah. It was intense.
It was intense. Yeah. I did like the 4 personalities and I was super extra. I did 4 different email sequences. I also did a private podcast for each for each personality because I don't know. I have issues, but that's fine.
Let me redepict the picture with that mechanism in it. How about that? Because we just went over what most of the people do.
Yeah.
Spend a lot of energy into creating this beautiful, insightful quiz,
Yep.
but we kind of run out of, the steam to promote it. What if we make it so simple that you prioritize your quiz mechanism as an asset?
Oh, I love that.
An entry point. It can be a single point of entry for people who can buy from you, right? You already have podcast.
Yes.
You point them to that quiz so that all those silent listeners will finally show up to tell you how you can reach them. You might do some visibility activities every now and then. Maybe you show up on somebody else's podcast. You might, speak at a virtual summit like I do, or you might collaborate, co-hosting a workshop or webinar. By the way, those things still do work. So don't say they're dead. They still work. But then every step you take in terms of visibility, marketing, business development, all of those things, even including networking, point them to that single point of entry, which is a quiz.
Yep.
You do it consistently, intentionally, then you don't feel like you're draining your energy by promoting it because it's just so easy to do, You show up on somebody else's podcast and say, hey, how can we find you? And say, take the quiz, right?
Love that.
You might be on the stage. You say, take the quiz. It's very simple and it's consolidated. It's clean for you and for your buyers. So if you set it up that way, you are less drained, overwhelmed, and stressed by this. It actually helps your business model, get clean.
Yeah, because you can also use it as a way for people to find you. I love that using it when you're guesting, when you're speaking, because then you're getting the word out there about your quiz. And if you're using it strategically and you're working with Maiko, then your quiz is going to be able to be something that people are going to want to share over and over again. And this is going to be becoming part of your ecosystem to where I talk about, so I have a framework called the Seamless Podcast Framework. And in my framework, I talk a lot about the attraction phase. And this falls into that attraction phase where you are getting found, your discoverability. And part of that is that the attraction phase is what I call it. It isn't just about getting found for everyone. It's about getting found by the right people. And I feel like the quiz does the qualifying work for you that your content may not be able to do on its own.
That's exactly that. I know that a lot of people wanted to have a quiz as sort of like a gating mechanism to filter people out, which is a wrong approach if you ask me. You wanted to focus more on giving them a chance to pre-qualify, pre-sale through your quiz, in a sense. Like I said, as a story that I shared, she didn't become my client, but it was perfectly fine because if she came to me, then I had to have a conversation about, maybe not working together because she needs something else. She did that on her own. That is a prime example of why you're not needed to do that filtering work. And it's so interesting over social media. A lot of people are talking about how their discovery calls have traumatized them because a bunch of wrong people showing up because they don't have a mechanism. So basically, I know most of your audience have a podcast show. you're already there building your business
Yeah.
ecosystem, right? So consider a podcast to be part of that business sales ecosystem.
Yes.
So now your job is to find a way to capture those listeners, because listening is a passive activity, which is really great because you're giving them a chance to, sample your work through your podcast. But then eventually you're going to have to find them. And a quiz is one of the most frictionless ways to put in front
I love
them that it is available. Go take it whenever you feel like it's available for you.
I love that. So thinking about all of this, because I have folks who listen to the podcast who are in lots of different niches.
Mhm.
Is there a type of podcast or a business where you would think a quiz would work better, or is it pretty universal in your opinion?
I would say it's very universal. So I can't really think of, any of them that would be not suited.
Yeah.
The important thing is that you definitely wanted to infuse your own ideas, the framework, methodology, or system that you build to solve a specific problem.
Okay.
So you do want to use all of that and put them into a form of diagnostic quiz.
Yeah.
And there's no one who cannot do that or not suitable for it. So your niche can be, helping the working mom to feed their family in the most healthiest
Right.
way, or it could be that the wellness after age 60, women, or it could be just a business coach for solopreneurs. I mean, there are many different niches, right?
Right.
And there's always a spot for your quiz to stand out. But you do want it to be specific, not be, afraid of actually repelling some people.
Yeah.
Because that's what you want. So a lot of times when we review the data analytics with my clients get really disappointed by looking at the bounce rate, how many people jump off in the middle of the quiz. Of course, if it's excessive, we need to look at the quality of the quiz itself. But what's actually happening is that it is doing its job.
Right.
It's actually letting people go because it's more in-depth type of a quiz and they don't want to continue it. Most likely, they're not your ideal clients.
Right.
So it's okay. What matters is the percentage of people completing the quiz and the percentage of people entering their email address. That is more important. You want that to be near 100%. And my quiz was always 100%.
I love that.
So after they finished it, they 100% put their email address in. It was not a friction.
So before we wrap up, I have one more question for you.
Sure.
Before someone thinks about the tech, what?
Right. Of course. Yeah.
What's the strategic thinking that has to happen first? And then what does the realistic build look like?
Yeah, so you wanted to keep it as simple as possible.
Okay.
And honestly, it requires 3 different components. And that's it. Just don't overcomplicate it, because the more complicated it is, it could be cheaper by complicating it, but
Right.
there's no really point in doing that. So you need your website where you're going to embed your quiz. That's number 1. Number 2, you need a dedicated quiz platform. You don't really want to use Jotform or Typeform or Google Forms. They don't quite work all that well for what we're doing.
Okay.
It could be Quizelle or Involve.me, Outgrow, Interact. There are plenty of them out there, so you can shop around. Number 3, you need your email CRM, of course, because that's where the heavy lifting happens. And you just need to connect all of them. And I know that a lot of coaches and consultants use Go High Level. In that case, that's a 2-part step, right? Because Go High Level actually acts as a website and also does CRM. So all you need is Go High Level and, a quiz platform.
Okay.
Because Go High Level's quiz feature isn't all that great. Otherwise, it could be all in one, right? Yeah.
Okay.
So keep it simple. That would be my advice for sure. Because the more steps you create, you're creating more chances to break, right? So you don't want to do that.
So good. All right. Well, I appreciate that honesty, because the last thing that I want someone to walk away with is this idea that this is going to be like a 48-hour project and they feel like they did something.
Oh, no, it's not. No, you're absolutely right.
You're right.
Yeah.
And knowing that they can walk away doing this and actually make it doable. So this has been so stinking good. I want to leave the listeners with one clear takeaway. I would love if you would share one thing that they could take away from the conversation, and then also where they can connect with you, because I know that they're going to want to come work with you and create these fabulous quizzes.
Amazing. So one takeaway is that if anything, just remember that you can place this buyer identification mechanism, aka a diagnostic quiz, as a single entry point to your world. Everything can be point to that. How clean it sounds and it feels, right? So that would be the takeaway that I want your listeners to feel and experience. It's possible for you. And I often hung out over LinkedIn and the threads. That's where we met, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So head over there and ask me any questions over there. Yeah, it's so funny that I don't do Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff. But yeah, mainly I'm all over LinkedIn and the threads.
Perfect. Well, I will be sure to have all of your links down below so that you can connect. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I had so much fun. Thank you so much for inviting me.